For cheap gold, items and other boosts for Diablo 4, visit aoeah.com. Check out the link in the description, you get 3% off with the code ARIAT. Hello and welcome everybody. In this guide, I'll show you the perfect Barb build for this season. He just destroys everything, you can fast clear T100 nightmare dungeons and vaults and perform one-hit boss kills with just the same build. So this Barb is an all-star. In the end, it's a mixture of the infinite charger build from my last video and the whirlwind Hota from last season. Charge is our skill for the masses, but we fall back to Hota whirlwind for boss fights, and switching from one setting to the other will only cost minimum effort. I've been tinkering a long time and it's really brilliant. And even if you're already playing a good build, you might still be able to pick up an idea or two to try out. It works without Uber Unix, but can also be upgraded with Harlequin Crest, Celic Amulet and Grandfather later. So let's look at the skill tree. We'll play Lunging Strike and Hammer of the Ancients. With some attack speed, you can basically play like the double swing. Keep Lunging Strike pressed and click the Hotas in between. We'll be able to do this on single targets. At the end, we want to use one-handed weapons for Lunging Strike. We also play the Furious Whirlwind, which we perform with a two-handed slashing weapon. We end up playing two shouts, Tactical Rallying Cry and Challenging Shout. Power Charge is skilled out to get maximum damage and minimum cooldown, so we need to hit 3 enemies to completely reset the cooldown. Charge should be performed with the two-handed mace. In addition to aggressive resistance and prolific fury, we also take the third passive skill from the cluster, so we will always get Berserk after charging. We also play Wrath and a few passive skills to boost the damage. Unconstrained is a nice choice for the key passive, as we will be berserking almost all the time, but for Bosskills you should reset to Unbridled Rage to maximize your damage. In the skill bar we always have Charge, Hammer of the Ancients and Lunging Strike, as well as Rallying Cry and the Ultimate. In dungeons we add Challenging Shout, and in boss fights we use Whirlwind instead, to take advantage of the convenient weapon switch over power mechanic. By the way, I play the two-handed axe mastery here. Once again the weapon assignments: Lunging Strike with one-handed weapons, Whirlwind two-handed slashing weapon, Charge and Hota with a two-handed mace. Then we have the Paragon System. Ira is once again in the starting board and Marshall in Carnage. Then comes Crusher in the Bonebreaker board, where we also have the legendary node that lets us overpower regularly. In the Blood Rage board we put Brawl, which is great for charge, but unfortunately not for Hammer of the Ancients. So for boss runs where we mainly use Hota, we can simply put Imbibber instead. In the Decimator board we set Dominate, with maximum willpower points. This gives us a huge overpower bonus. The Seneschal Construct should support us by making enemies vulnerable, for example, or increasing our crit chance. We play Flash of Adrenaline with fortified duration and tactical support, and Tempest with devastation, efficiency and braking. Now the equipment. I'll first show you the standard setup for running high dungeons and vaults, then we look at alternatives and the boss equipment. We play Yoritz, which gives us berserking damage, and after charging in a row several times, we also trigger the unique mod, which gives us even more damage. In addition, this helmet indirectly also gives us some damage reduction. We are always berserking, and so we get up to 28% damage reduction by the passive skill Aggressive Resistance. In addition, a typical defensive chest with life and damage reduction, as well as the new Juggernaut's aspect. This basically gives us a stable armor value, and because we play charge, we hardly need to evade anyway. The gloves should ideally have +4 to Hota, crit chance and overpower damage. Here I play the ancestral force aspect. In high dungeons, a good defensive pants with +4 to charge and disobedience aspect is the safest choice, so you have good protection and the charge cooldown is definitely low enough. On the shoes we want movement speed and resistances, plus the exploiter aspect. On the weapons we go for berserking and overpower damage, but damage to vulnerable and close enemies is also useful. I'm playing Earth Striker aspect on the mace, elements and rapid aspect on the one-handed weapons, and ancestral charge on the slashing weapon. I play rapid because I like to use the playstyle keeping lunging strike pressed for single mobs. If you don't do that, you're better with some further damage aspect. Then we have Bolt Chieftain on the one ring, ideally with crit chance, berserking damage and life. And the other is the new ring of the Ravenous. It has +3 to brawling skills and some nice crit chance, up to 12% on a good roll. On the amulet +3 to brawling skills again and cooldown reduction. This is very important if you want to be able to use charge endlessly. I also like running speed and or damage reduction affixes. There I have the Edgemaster aspect, which will usually give a full damage bonus all the time. Charge does not use resources at all. Now the switch items. T-Bolts is an offensive option with high damage boost, and we will also refill our resources by charging. It will become a bit close with the cooldown, but if the other items have good rolls, it will fit. Then I have a Harlequin crest. Of course, since I have it, it is my new standard, but this build also works without. Basically, you can also play this build with the Melted Heart of Zelig, which makes it very tanky. But since you lose cooldown and skill levels when changing the amulet, you have to get them back on helmet and pants. Or you have to give up the endless charge mechanic. Of course, it is also great to combine Zelig with T-Bolts, but then you'll need the Harlequin crest for the cooldown reduction and skills. But you can also do without infinite charge and just make more use of Hota in between. Then it makes sense to charge with the two-handed slashing weapons or the one-handed weapons instead, to perform additional weapon switches and so trigger overpower attacks even more often. This playstyle is a bit different. I like the endless dashing more. The ultimate tanky build is to take the standard build and replace amulet pants and helmet by Zelig, T-Bolts and Harlequin crest. Like this, you keep infinite charge and most damage goes to Fury, which you fill up with every charge. The gear for killing Duriel looks like this: Banished Lords, Ring of Red Furor, and a ring with the Unrelenting Fury aspect. Priority affixes are resource generation, berserk and overpower damage, as well as crit chance. The slashing weapon with the ancestral aspect changes to an Edgemaster axe, and we replace the rapid axe with a limitless rage club. Of course, we also wear T-Bolts, and we could optionally use a Godslayer crown here. Apart from changing the equipment, we only have to do 3 small things. Set the key passive skill to Unbridled Rage, put Whirlwind instead of Challenging Shout into the skill bar, and replace the glyph Brawl by Imbibber. The playstyle is very comfortable. Charge should be clear. You just have to hit at least 3 enemies, and thanks to the ancestral charge aspect, that's no big deal. But preparing for a boss kill is also child's play. We can easily load the Earth Striker aspect by Whirlwind and Lunging Strike, even without monsters if necessary, as we can generate Fury with Rallying Cry or Charge. This is practical for world boss events, for example. When running Duriel solo, it's best to load up Earth Striker to 7 weapon switches and blow away one of the first 2 maggots by charge. Then the counter jumps to 8 and you are prepared. From that state, all we have to do is ignite the ultimate, whirl through Duriel for 2 seconds and then hit him. If not one hitting yet, we can also use the typical Hota whirlwind move here. Hold down shift to stay in position and then shortly press whirlwind and hammer in alternation. Duriel becomes vulnerable thanks to the Seneschal Construct, otherwise you could also use Mighty Charge instead of Power Charge to do so. I say goodbye, take care and may the loot be with you.
Follow me. Thanks. Goodbye.